Good day, fellas. I hope you're ready for your daily dose of skill. And today we are going to talk about the Battle Pass tanks and where to spend Battle Pass points and tokens, right? Today is the last day of the Battle Pass, okay? So if you haven't completed it, you still can buy stages for gold, although that is expensive way to play the game, and I don't really think that I would recommend it, right? Let's first of all cover the points. How about that? I believe every and each of you are aware of that whenever you are completing Battle Pass 3 stages, right? You are getting yourself accessibility to the points. And then you can use those points in order to get the 3D styles, right? There is gazillion of them. You can get 2D elements. You can get crew members. And last but not least, you can get economic resources, so bonds. So now, first things first, crew members, in my opinion, has the highest value because they have 0 Brother in Arms perk, which is absolutely amazing. After that, 3D styles, after that, 2D elements, and after that, economic resources. Obviously, I have everything, and I believe quite some of you have everything as well. So use those points simply to get those extra bonds, right? You will use them for bond equipment or bond tanks or whatever else, right? If you are not going to do that today, it's going to be GG, it's going to be finito, you will lose them. So use them today, it is very, very important thing to say. Now, talking about the items for tokens, fellas. Tokens will be available till the 21st of December, but fellas, as usual, December is very, very busy month. There is holiday ops going on and other various events, right? And I would highly, fellas, highly recommend to use it now so you won't forget it, right? We are going to talk about every and each tank you can get and what I would recommend overall to pick for the points, right? Quick information for every and each of you as well. If you are not aware of that, fellas, we have the merch site. Link is going to be in the description. We are doing the last final sale for Black Friday. And merch is going to be done. I'm not going to do the merch anytime soon. The quality of the merch is nice. The material is thick. Feel free to check it out. Discounts are very, very nice. And why the heck not, right? This is a highlight as well. So now, points, fellas. There are 3 tanks, in my humble opinion, that are worth to pick up, right? The first tank is Cobra. It is one of the most expensive tanks to pick it up, right? But Cobra is absolutely beautiful and absolutely amazing. The pretty much selling point of the Mr. Cobra is that you have extremely nice gold ammunition, 210 millimeters of penetration, 490 alpha damage. So if you are finding someone who is making a mistake, in pretty much 4.5 seconds you can delete 2,000 hit points or 1,950, right? It is absolutely insanity how beautiful this gun is, right? If you met someone that has absolutely no armor, you are going to delete them. Obviously, sniping with a Cobra is not the best choice, so you need to play somewhere in the medium heavy line and try to find the right angles. If you are curious how to play with a Cobra, I would highly recommend, fellas, to go to the index page, just simply find the Cobra, and as you can see, we have so many YouTube videos, best-ofs and everything. This is absolutely insanity how much content there is with this tank. And the tank is rated solid 5 stars. Community says that it is hell of a fun to play with the tank, but where the tank goes, it's closer to the 4 stars, which is fair enough, and I appreciate your honesty. And fellas, if you want to share your opinion, log in via our gaming API and you can pretty much rate the tanks yourself, right? As you can see, we have 207,000 ratings over 21,000 accounts as well, or 20.6 thousand accounts. Absolutely glorious. You are killing it, fellas, and I thought if we would hit 200,000 this year, it would be amazing, but looks like you are saying no, skill. We are going to go higher, so thank you. I appreciate you, fellas. After Cobra, there is 2 other tanks which are absolutely glorious. Let's start with the Char Futur. Char Futur is a French tier 9 special tank. it is autoloader. You have 4 in the magazine, and you can pretty much slap the living crap out of every and each mother trucker that is making some silly goose mistakes, right? Gun is extremely accurate, and surprisingly, this tank is bouncing as well, right? So I would highly recommend to take this tank for any sniper, schnitzel, or autoloader lover. You need to have this. There is no other alternative option, if you know what I mean. Moving on next for the tanks that you must have from the Battle Pass, and I'm pretty sure it is going to be the same in the next season as well, right? It is a Phase 1. Phase 1 is absolutely glorious vehicle. It has extremely nice 340 hits. You can play hold down with this tank, and with this vehicle pretty much armor is important, right? So if you are not entirely sure how the tank armor looks like, I would highly recommend to go and check out the index page as well. And as you can see, armor-wise, this vehicle, from the middle and up, it is very powerful tank. If you are playing hold down, it is also pretty bloody strong, at least against the standard ammunition. Against the gold, you can get penetrated. Plus, on top of that, this mother trucker can side scrap. Obviously, you have a risk to get penetrated into the shoulder, but it is not that big of the weak spot, right? Unless someone loads the gold, then the situation looks like different. But overall, the tank is extremely strong, the tank is extremely powerful. I would definitely recommend to take a look into this vehicle for any and each heavy tank lover, right? Those are my top 3 picks. What do I think is good, and what do I think Battle Pass, you know, you must have those tanks. You just simply must have those tanks. Now, let's go with mech tanks. How about that? The first mech tank in the list is Cobra 03 Project 07. Now, this tank is very interesting vehicle. It is a sniper schnitzel with which you do not necessarily need to go into the siege mode to make the tank work, but in the same time, siege mode is an option, but you are losing a lot of DPM. I know it's kind of complicated, but it's true. Pretty much you are sitting in the bush and you are enjoying yourself to the maximum. This tank is nothing like a Sterva line. A Sterva line, in my humble opinion, is better, right? So I would say this vehicle is far away from being ideal, although there is some highlights like 120 high explosive penetration, which is good, 320 hits, that's absolutely amazing, standards 270, it's fine. You know, it is where the gun abilities goes and everything, it's completely fine. The platform and the whole game style is the problem, at least in my opinion. And whenever I played with this tank this year, it took 92 games with 54% win ratio, which is very bad for me. 2,500 average damage and 700 assisting damage to finish this vehicle. It is far away from being ideal, fellas. And if you would check out Cobra 3 Project, right? You can find the best of videos with this vehicle, right? You can see the live recording and best of if that's what you want to see. I rated this vehicle 2 stars. Community rated this vehicle closer to 3 stars, but this tank is not the most popular one, speaking about the votes and whatnot. Looks like community doesn't vote for this vehicle that much, and it is completely fine and it is understandable. I don't really think many folks are taking it. Also, if I can say one more thing where the Battle Pass goes, in my opinion, it's significantly better to take the tanks which are cheaper from the Battle Pass points, because those tanks which are expensive, probably like Cobra and whatnot, they will stay expensive, right? So if it happened to be that, let's say you have 20 points and Cobra is 28, you know, you are not effing your brain with that, you are just taking one smaller tank, and after that you are getting either bonds or either economic reserves. I personally go for economic reserves because December is the month of grind, and December is the month of credits. If it happened to be that you have time to play the game, that's how you are dealing with all of this, right? Okay, Other tank which is far away from being ideal, Lorraine 50T. Lorraine 50T. It is like a hybrid between the medium tank and between the heavy tank, right? At least in my opinion. It's not awful tank, it's not the worst tank in the world of tanks or something, but in the same time it's far away from being ideal. If you are going to play with this tank as a heavy tank, you may regret your life choices, right? And I believe most of the things we can see, well, once again, I rated this vehicle 2 stars, and overall community is rating this tank closer to the 3 stars, but the tank isn't very popular, at least where the ratings goes. Now, the armor of this tank, fellas. Remember how phase 1 armor was looking like and how this tank is looking like? Yeah, nor you can side scrap with this vehicle or Yopter, right? Look how much of the tank you are exposing, and you just simply cannot do that. Or alternatively, whenever you are playing a hold down, it doesn't feel that great, right? Although hold down, it can work, right? How about if someone is loading gold? Also not that horrible. So hold down is the way to play with this vehicle, right? But that's not all, fellas. You know, platform is a bit of the problem. In the same time, we have a problem that the tank doesn't have the best DPM. It's not ideal, fellas. I do not hate this tank. As a matter of fact, I played with this tank significantly better, or a bit better than I played with the Kapaza, which you just seen, right? But, you know, it's not the priority choice. It's not the best vehicle in the world of tanks, and I would not recommend to take this tank, okay? I just simply wouldn't. Speaking about more bad tanks, now this is kind of controversial one. TT-130M. This vehicle is brand new. It appeared this season. And personally, what I disliked a lot about this tank is the gun handling. I felt how in the side, fellas, of my hair, I have a gray hair from this tank. I'm not even joking, fellas. I am not even joking. The gun handling of this tank was truly disgusting, and I did not really enjoy this vehicle that much. But fellas, looking into the armor model, this tank actually performed pretty well armor-wise. I rated this tank 2 stars. Community rates this tank closer to 3 stars. Once again, not the most popular tank overall where the ratings goes, right? But that's completely fine. If you want to go in depth with this tank, you can see the live recordings in the index page as well. But now let's talk the armor. Armor doesn't feel that bad. And look how interesting that looks like. If you would click on advanced mode over there, it would remove all plates, and you can see how you can penetrate this tank. And it's not so simple, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, it is not so simple. You can kind of try to side scrap and bait vehicles to shoot you over there. That's not that bad. You can play hold down, although you have cupola. The platform isn't the problem, even though it's pretty bloody slow. The problem is the gun, at least in my humble opinion. The gun felt the most disgusting way with this vehicle, truly, fellas. It wasn't ideal, it wasn't fun, it wasn't enjoyable, it was just pure frustration, and that's why I am looking into this tank as kind of meh, or maybe even disgusting vehicle, right? Moving on next, I think we covered all the most disgusting tanks at this point, so now what we have left average vehicles, at least in my opinion. And probably the most controversial thing from my side to call average vehicle is Kunze Panzer, because this tank has quite unique playstyle, but I just simply think that Leo Patai is simply better. Yes, some folks are in love with a Kunze Panzer. I salute you for that. That's great. I understand. So some players would definitely rate the tank higher than I would. Let me see. Kunze. Let's see how folks are rating this tank. I rated the tank 3 stars, and community is rating closer to the 4 stars. That's completely fine, and I respect that. The biggest problem where this tank goes is I felt like I was tempted to go into the siege mode significantly more than I should have. And sometimes whenever I am shooting via the long range, I felt like I just simply want to have a better DPM, so I am sniping with less accurate gun and I am missing my shots. You get the point. You need to know exactly when to go into the siege mode with a Kunze Panzer. And in my humble opinion, this tank is a toy for very good players. Not for beginners, not for average players, but for a fluffy super unicorns, right? Or let's say, green, purple players, however you would call great players in the game, right? That's what I think about the Kunze, and I just simply don't like it. I don't see the point why would I play with this tank whenever I can play with a Leopard and he simply have significantly better time, right? So yeah, also a bit disappointing thing is that Kunze doesn't have high penetration, high explosives, but it is how it is, right? So this is like mech category and average category, and obviously armor-wise it's paper. I don't even need to show that. Nice, nice, nice. Now, moving on next, Object 777. Now, this vehicle, I think this is different, completely different call from the Kunze. This tank is pretty much beginner-friendly vehicle, right? And the most important thing, why would I say so, fellas, is because of this armor. I rated the vehicle 3 stars, community rates this tank significantly higher, which is fair. And the biggest selling point of this mother trucking tank is armor. Look how it looks like. Obviously, you have cupolas, you have a lower plate, but you can try to side scrap or over side scrap and even go like this, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to get penetrated, right? Pretty much even with a gold, whenever you play hold down, right? It's not so simple to penetrate this vehicle if you are not showing your lower plate. This is the selling point, at least in my humble opinion, with our Object 777, and because of that it is kind of okay. One thing to highlight, gun handling is far away from being ideal, but that means you need to play in the close range with this tank, right? So we need to keep this in mind. Other than that, average tank, you are getting it, you are playing a couple of games and you are forgetting it. Or alternatively, you are falling in love, right? Moving on next. Key 91 PT is actually a better tank than I forgot to mention this tank before. Key 91 PT is the tank that I fall in love whenever it came into the game. I really enjoy this tank, even though this year I haven't played with this vehicle too much. I'm not going to pretend it's just how it is, right? Whenever I took it from the battle pass, I marked it, I fell in love with it, I enjoyed myself playing with this tank, and I pretty much forgot about this vehicle, right? Now, looking how the armor model is looking like on this vehicle, right? The armor model looks very, very interesting. You need to play hold down. You need to find the place where you can hide your hole, and then you are chilling and you can be relatively aggressive. Speaking about the hold down play, nothing too crazy, nothing too epic, but it can work and it is all right. This is also for, I think, a bit better players, if I can describe this vehicle this way. Whenever you know when to be aggressive and whenever you know when to be passive. Although not everything is ideal, I really want to highlight one thing, that the amount of the ammunition is kind of laughable of this tank. And by the way, I rated this vehicle 4 stars and community kind of agrees with me with 3.8 rating, right? So it is completely fine. If you haven't played with this tank or you want to see more about it, I would recommend to check out. Actually, we haven't gotten a YouTube video in a while with this tank. Now we know what we need to do, right? So Key 91 is kind of nice tank, and it is definitely above the average section which I'm showing now. I just simply forgot about this vehicle. Okay, we have a couple of the tanks left. We have the Baza left and we have TS6 left. Those tanks are meh, right? Looking into Baza, I am pretty sure that I lately marked this vehicle, and I actually enjoyed it. I did not hate the gun handling, even though it was trolling me quite a bit, and I kind of liked the platform as well. At least I cannot cry about this. Baza, 58. Would you look at this? I rated the tank. Average tank community says it's 3.6, so a bit above average, right? And where the armor model goes, it looks pretty nice. It looks phase 1-like, right? But the lower plate is super weak. Fellas, the lower plate is so weak that Cromwell will mess you up, right? So you need to make sure to play hold down or just simply not to show your lower plate and try to side scrap a bit. Although you have a weak shoulder, as you can see, and you can get penetrated here plus 2 cupolas. But overall, where the trades goes, whenever you have 500 alpha damage, it is nice to trade with the enemies, and it's pretty okay tank. I would not say it is the best tank in the world of tanks, and I would not put it be above the phase 1 or alternatively, you know, E75 or something. No. But it was, it's okay. You know, I could not complain about this vehicle. And last but not least, we have the TS60. This is a brand new tank. I got it some time ago. I played some battles with it. I still haven't marked the tank, but I think it is average at best. At least this is how I look into all of this. So far with this vehicle, we played approximately 37 games on this account. In some games I felt like a king, and in some games I felt like a peasant. Literally. It is weird tank because the DPM of this vehicle is nice, but the armor is looking good on the paper, but not necessarily. It's just simply weird area of the tank, fellas. It feels weird. It feels like a heavy tank or something. TS60. Let's take a look into the rating. I rated this tank 3 stars. Community is rating 3.6, so a bit better than I do, right? And looking into this armor model, it looks like you can play kind of hold down until you cannot, right? And actually it's not that horrible. With the 320 millimeters of penetration, there is a chance that shell would go somewhere over there and you are not going to get penetrated, right? Plus on top of that, you can kind of side scrap with this tank, although please keep this in mind that the shoulder is a weak spot, and if someone would load the gold, he can penetrate you significantly easier. In other words, the best way is to play hold down with this tank, or alternatively try to do your best by approaching the tanks that cannot really penetrate you so easily. Please keep this in mind that you cannot fully rotate the turret with this vehicle, which is also kind of meh. And where the gun handling goes, gun handling is bad, but you can play kind of aggressively with this tank, right? So it has like a bad heavy tank gun handling, or maybe average heavy gun handling, but for tank destroyer standards, the gun handling is definitely an issue and definitely a problem, right? If you are planning to take this tank, I would recommend to check out index page and to dig deeper. Also, before we are finishing everything, fellas, once again, just to cap everything and to say the thing straight into the face. Cobra, definitely worth it. Char Futur, worth it. Phase 1, worth it. After that, we have questionable tanks. TS60, it is on the question mark. Baza on the question mark. Key 91 is actually one of the better ones, so I would probably add Key 91 close to the Char Futur Phase 1, although arguably it can be a bit worse. And Kunze Panzer and 777 also feels like okay tanks. And the tanks which I would recommend avoid is KPZ, Lorraine, TT130, and that's about it. Those are the 3 tanks which I would recommend to avoid, right? Just to cap everything out. Also, I know that some of you are not familiar with some things, and I got a lot of questions overall about skill. When are you going to do the map guides? Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, just to highlight one important thing, if you would go to the index page and click on the maps, and let's say it happened to be that you are struggling in El Haluf. You are selecting El Haluf, and let's say you are struggling with light tanks. You click on the light tank filter and you can see how I play with light tanks, or alternatively medium tanks, or alternatively heavy tanks. You can see the spawns as well and everything, right? Use this tool, use this opportunity. I am just putting it out there because there is a lot of good things to see. And now, fellas, I know that was a lot of talking. I know my mind was a bit messy over there, but I really wanted to go through all of this and just to highlight for folks to finish Battle Pass, okay? And to use the tokens, use the points, and not to miss absolutely anything. Hopefully, you understand what I mean, and hopefully this will help quite a bit for your tank choices. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you and see you very soon. Skill is out for today. Peace.